Hello, everybody. Happy New Year, I guess. Even though January is very nearly over. Welcome back to UQRUG. Welcome back to UQ. Yeah, keen to get started and get some interesting things happening this year. We've got one of the biggest in-person turnouts that we've had in a while. So thank you, Drew, for coming along, and thank you, Cameron, for coming early to set things up. Hello, David. Good to see your face. Yes, so for those who are new to UQRUG, we are a gathering of R users of a variety of different skills. We gather on the last Wednesday of every month to help each other solve problems, share interesting R-related things, and those who just want to hang out. There's no pressure to bring questions or have answers to anything. If you just want to sit and listen to us chat while you do coding or whatever work in the background, that's also totally fine. I definitely join a few groups and do that myself. It's definitely not what I do at Hacky Hour every Tuesday. If you are here in person, please jump onto the Zoom if you're going to be asking questions or sharing things. That way you can share your screen when you ask the question. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the UQRUG website. This is an R-created website, which is always fun. And we use this to sort of share the event details. So you can see that we have all the previous events in here. So if you want to have a look at some of the things that we've done each time, you can find that there. You can also find the past meeting notes with the typo that I still haven't fixed. This has got the previous notes from each of our different sessions, although I haven't updated it from the last couple either. But to get started today, I'll get you to, if you navigate through to the UQRUG website for me here, uqrug.netlify.app, alternatively Googling UQRUG should find it as the first link. I'll get you to go through to our hedge doc, which you can get to by clicking this little document looking button in the top right-hand corner. And that will take you through to the hedge doc. So the hedge doc is like an interactive document that people can edit and change without needing to log in. So it's great for stuff like this.
Are you sharing screen?
Yes.
Oh.
And
Sorry.
That's all right. To edit the document, basically what you do is you click this little blue pencil up in the top right-hand corner where it says edit this note. Once you've done that, it will bring you to the sort of log you in a way, give you like a guest user account kind of thing. And that allows you to then either view or edit the code, or as my preference is, show both at the same time so you can see the code behind the text that we're looking at here. Could you make that just one image? Well, just hide it then, it's just my face. Although if anyone says anything, they'll appear, so yeah. Right. So on the right-hand side, you can see that we've got the text, and on the left-hand side, we have the markdown that sits behind that. So for those who don't know about markdown, it is a fairly simple markup language.
The next one.
Everyone typing the same.
Oh yes, people on it, it's great. It basically allows you to put in titles. So this title here, UQRUG, is a top-level title, so it's bigger. Who are we is a fourth level title, so it's smaller. And as I change the number of hashes, it changes the number of things. So that's a very simple markup language. If you want to learn more about that, reach out. Happy to give you some guides on GitHub and things like that. But for today's purpose, I just need you to know that you can type in here and change some things. So our ways of working. We start the day by having everyone add their names to this page, which apparently people are already doing, which is great. And then you add your questions to the page you have for this month. We'll do our intro to an R package, which this month I'm going to be showing you how to use Vitae. So it's not so much a tutorial, it's more being like, look at this cool thing. If you want to know more, you can ask questions or just dig into it. And then finally, we'll go through the questions that people have asked. Hello, you're good. Go through the questions that people have asked. I do want to jump back to the R package one, just in that I'm very encouraging of anyone who wants to run a session. It's great for me because it means that I get to have a play with things and frantically try and get things working the night before. broke some things. But, you know, it's a really good way to learn. So I want to encourage anyone else who wants to have a go, even if you're not an expert in this R package, if you've just found it and can give us an overview of how it works, please do. If you are an expert in the thing, let me know as well. Keen to get all sorts of people contributing in that way. I can't offer much except for the experience of doing it and then, like, you know, a shout out. So ways of working. So we start by getting everyone to add their names to the page. Helen? Yes.
I'm just gonna sit next to you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably the new record for person attendance. All right, so back at the hedgehog. Once you've gone through to the hedgehog and click the little edit button in the top right-hand corner, scroll down to where it has the different names, and we can see that people have already added so many names, which is awesome to see. It also gives us an idea of what people are after and where they're from. It's really good. Below that, you can see that you have the ability to add some questions in. So you can see that Pia has already put in a question, started putting a question here. You can see it's happening as it goes. You can see that we've got some filled in spots for it. So if you do have a question, simply put your name there. So my name's Nick, and my question is, how does Markdown work? And then any extra details that you might have underneath. Oh, it formats it in a really nice, simple way, while also having the ability to put more details. And you don't have to wait for me to ask for answers. You can immediately start putting your answers in. I recommend putting in like a little asterisk like this, a couple spaces and then your name, and that will create a bullet point. And then you can say, so, you know, I could say my name's Nick, and my answer is something about what's. Yeah. So that's the ways of working. I will get rid of my fake answer there though. And I'll get rid of my fake question as well, so that if others have questions, they can fill them in. It doesn't matter how mundane your question is or how advanced the question is, please ask it. Maybe there's someone here who will be able to give you a great answer, maybe not. So for those who are freaking out about how this table works, this is what a markdown table looks like behind. It is ugly, but when it makes it, it looks quite nice. So the way that it works is it's just got these bar symbols or pipe symbols or whatever you want to call them, and you just put stuff between it. So this has got 3 columns, so you just need to put your details between 4 of them. So you'd have your name, where you're from, and what brings you here. Lots of people here to learn, which is awesome.
Good crowd.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think this is the biggest one I've ever seen.
a good turnout. I think Resbaz had slightly more, but that's because we got to get people from
That's
random places. Yeah, and something that's important is that if you're here to learn and you don't think you can help people, sometimes trying to help people is a fantastic way to learn. It's how I learn, at least. I know most of the stuff I know in R because people have asked me questions, but I'm like, I don't know, let's find out. So even if you don't know how to do the thing and someone's asked a question, the power of like 20 people Googling in different directions and searching on GitHub and searching in Stack Overflow is often a really good way to find that answer. And so it's a good way for you to learn as well. So yeah, don't be afraid to try to help. Okay, so with that big long spiel out of the way, I think most people have added their names. Those who have questions have started adding their questions. So I guess it's now over to me to do the intro for this week. So as promised on the website, we're going to be having a look at the package Vitae. So it allows you to create a data-driven resume. And so by that, I mean, put your stuff into a CSV file or an Excel file, bring that into R, and then turn that into a resume. I've only fiddled with it a little bit. I haven't explored the depth which you can go, but I just really want to show you that, hey, this thing exists, have a play with it. It's also something I've been wanting to do for a while, and here's my excuse to do it. So thank you for being my captive audience. So this is the very quick and messy CV that I created for this. So you can see that it's got my name, some details about me, some more details about me, some stuff about me, which is great. And then details about education and work history. And these are not real publications. That is built-in publication stuff from it. So this is generated using a combination of R Markdown, Vitae, and LaTeX. And that all sounds really complicated and convoluted and stuff, but I'll show you how simple and straightforward it can be once you get the packages working. Because there was a bug that came up. So I'm going to navigate through to RStudio and kind of show you the overall process of doing this. I will go to the Vitae website first, though. So this is the Vitae page for Vitae. You can also find their GitHub page that has more details and is also very useful from the perspective of, let's say there is a bug that you encounter after getting things working, but then it stops working the day before you're going to do a presentation on it, and you need to find out why there's a bug. Sometimes the GitHub page is the place to go to find that, and I will talk more about that later. So if you want to install Vitae, you simply install packages Vitae. Now, you're probably not going to be able to follow along with this perfectly today because there is an issue with the way that Pandoc has been set up. I encourage you to do so and have a play, but it will take a little bit for things to install properly. So I will just give you the overview, and if you run into problems and have questions, bring them to me. Vitae uses a combination of LaTeX. So LaTeX is a language, a language that allows you to sort of generate documents. And you often see it in like maths and physics world, really. I don't know if anyone else is as keen on it as that sort of sphere of people. Yeah. MIT. I don't know anyone else. Yeah. It's good for writing formulas and stuff like that.
Good equations.
Hardcore physicists love it.
Who loves it?
Hardcore physicists.
Yeah, there you go.
I inherited the job of treasurer from a guy who was, and all his financial statements were done in LaTeX, and I just couldn't cope. I just had to change it to spreadsheets.
There you go.
It's also one of those fun sort of coding languages that no one pronounces consistently. I've heard people say LaTeX, 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 LaTeX.
Yeah.
Does anyone really know? Anyway, do you use it more?
I think tech is always tech.
Yeah.
And I think it's never text. I think it's something that they say.
Classic.
And then some people say LaTeX and some people say LaTeX, but it comes from tech, which is always tech.
All right. We'll go with that. So, does that mean that this is actually tinytex?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, tinytex. Cool. So we're using a package called tinytex, which allows R to use LaTeX. And then once you've installed that, you then have to use a function within that to properly install it. You don't have to know how to code in LaTeX. R does it for you. So if you know R, you can kind of just use it. It means if there's bugs and things, it can get a little bit tricky, but overall, it's fairly straightforward. There are guides on this for using it. So this person has put a guide on how to use it, how to bring it into the Markdown, and then some of the templates that you can use. So you might recognize this one on the left as the one that I just showed you. But you can see that you can easily jump from one template to the other using the same set of data, and it just shows it in a slightly different way. You can also modify templates if you really want to. Yeah, and probably find heaps on the web. So to start doing it, you need to install Vitae, you need to install LaTeX, and currently you need to reinstall Pandoc. So Pandoc is a library that gets used for yeah, it's a library used for converting between different markup languages. And yeah, I had to reinstall the latest version of this manually outside of R to get things working. So that was a little bug I ran into yesterday. They updated something and it broke things, which sometimes happens, but usually you can find a fix for it. So the basic steps for doing it is you go into R, create a project if you want to, and create a new R Markdown file, so that, going to the new file, R Markdown. This is where you can create R Markdown documents, presentations, Shiny apps, but also templates. And in this case, we're going to be using one of the Vitae templates. So you can see there's all these different CV formats that you can use. I'm just going to go with the awesome CV, which is the one I showed you at the start. Give it a name, we'll call it the RUG CV, and I'm going to click OK.
Did you do awesome CV?
Yes. So if I go back to here, you'll see that it's now created a folder called RUG CV, and it's now set up some basic things for that, including this RMD file here. And you can see it's pre-filled a bunch of the defaults. So it's got name and surname and all the different details that you might want to have in, even Twitter. I guess that's not been updated. No one wants to update that. And for those who are familiar with R Markdown or knitr, you'll recognize this as being a YAML, which is yet another markup language, both what it is and what it stands for, YAML. It's just a basic way of kind of putting metadata into a thing in a fairly simple kind of language, kind of similar to JSON in some ways, but we're not going to go down that avenue. So you can set up some of the details at the start here. I'm just going to leave these as the defaults. But here you can see that some stuff about me section that we had before. And this is, so this is Mary Curie. So you can see this is that same format that we looked at when we were in HedgeDoc, looking at setting up a title. So this is a single hash, so it'll make a title. And then these are asterisks, so they'll make dot points. And so you could fill that in and put those details there. Then there's another section on education. There's a hash there. Now, this is the way that Vitae has been set up to run, where you create a tribble, which is like kind of like a table, like a data frame sort of thing that just has some advanced features in it. And basically what this is doing is it's creating rows and columns. So the column names are these ones, and then the rows contain these details. It then puts those details into a function called detailed entries, where degree, year, institution, and where will then be formatted in that particular way. So if we look back at my one, we've got the degree, institution, and when. I didn't actually include the where in that one, but you can see the where is down here. If I go to the help menu for detailed entries, so I'm going to press F1 on my keyboard, function F1, to go to the help menu there. We can see that this function accepts a data object, such as tibble. Data frame is also fine. And it formats it into a suitable format for the template use. So creates it into a format that awesome CV will then use. And there's other bits and pieces. So you can see that it's very similar to this brief entry. So there's detailed and brief. And that's where you give the data, the what, the when, the where, the with, and if it's detailed, the where and why. So those are the details that you can put into it. You can then create another section in this similar way. And then the final, you can go into a lot more detail, but one thing it also does is you can give it a .bib file, which is like a bibliographic file that you'd use in like EndNote and all sorts of things. So if you've got all of your publications in EndNote and you export all of those as a .bib file, you can bring it in here and it will then format those. So that's where these pre-generated publications came from, for example. So what you should then be able to do is, once you're happy with the way it all looks, I haven't changed anything here, of course, you click knit, and it will then render that into a file. So if we have a look inside this rug_CSV, you'll see it's processing it. It creates all of these different temporary files. So you can see there's a tech file there, a knit file, all sorts of different things. And it uses all those other files to then generate a PDF file, gets rid of all those other things because they're just temporary files for creating it. And we can see that it successfully created a .pdf file. Now, if any of you are following along, this is where you would have hit an error. Alternatively, yours is still currently loading because the first time I had to run this, it had to install these other template-based dependencies, and it just takes a bit of time to do that the first time around. And then it doesn't take as long after that. There's a question in the chat that says, can it be knitted in HTML? The reason I pause on that is probably, but I haven't done that. I'm not sure where you'd go to do that, but the template should be able to handle that. Because, you know, regularly you can knit. It'd be something you'd have to dig into with the awesome CV thing, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. But there's likely something in the output here where you can, with a normal knit RMD file, you would go output PDF or something like that. But in this case, we're using a template. So long the template can handle that, which I would expect it can, you probably can. There's likely another setting you just have to put in there that I haven't explored, but that's a fantastic question. Someone wants to put that into the hedge doc. Maybe we can explore it in the second half today, should we have time. And if someone wants to explore that right now, that's also totally fine. I hit knit. Yes, so you'll likely, if you've tried to follow along, it's currently loading all these different sort of database dependencies that the thing needs. That it has to do the first time around. It does a particular template, and if that does, once it's done that, you'll likely hit some sort of weird LaTeX item error, and that's because, is that where you go?
Thanks.
Yeah, I think. And do you have tinytex? Tinytex
I do.
installed? Okay, cool. Yeah, it's likely that you need to go to pandoc and install that, but I'll go into that at the end.
Sounds good.
So we've now generated our rug_CV, and here it is. So I didn't change anything from the template. So this is just the way that it's always basically generated. So you can see there's some stuff about me section, so all of the details, education, Nobel Prizes, and then you can see here the publications. So that's how you use the basic way of using Vitae. Now, the way that I've tweaked this slightly for my one is, personally, I don't really like the idea of having to type it out like this. This is not saving me any effort or time. It's a lot of manual work there. So instead, what I did in my CV file is, you can see I've used the same template, but I've not put my Twitter and GitHub and stuff like that onto it. I've simply hashed those out so that if I change my mind in the future, I would simply unhash that, and then that could be something that appears there when I generate it. You can also add like a profile pic if that's the way you like to do your resume as well. There's a whole bunch of extra metadata and settings that you can change. Another thing that you can do is change the head color. So the head color will make it so that you can change that. So instead of it being red, you can make it any other color you want. In this case, 414141 is the same color as the rest of the text. So that effectively makes that color difference go away. Maybe you don't like it. Actually, let's go ahead and
Can you make it more words?
more words.
So there's more letters. There's 3 letters of red at the moment. Can you make it like
Oh,
6?
so can you make this do more than 3 letters? Probably. That might be something that you can't do just from the YAML.
Yeah.
It's probably more likely a template editing thing, which is something you can do, but I haven't played with for today's purposes.
Yeah, fair enough.
I want to keep it like, get the template, run the thing, not fiddle around too much.
Sounds good.
But the advantage to this is, if you do decide to change that template and fiddle around with it,
Yeah.
you just press knit and then it does it. You don't have to then change things around every other time. Another thing that you can add in is like an about me section. And so this would then appear underneath here as like a little extra about me section. So we'll see what that happens when we go to that later. Now let's also put in my Twitter handle. So I've got some stuff about me. I just edited that slightly. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Christopher. has used a different template which knits out to HTML by default. So cool, that answers that question. So it sounds like it's a template-based thing, which probably means that you could make the templates do different things if you wanted to. I would assume that there's something you can change in this output setting here, but would have to dig to find that out. So what did I do really differently here is I put all of my work details and education details into a CSV. So instead of having to type it all out in R every time, I have a CSV that I've created. So if I navigate to that, go to my CV, I'm gonna open that external. As much as I like the internal R viewer, I'm just going to, actually, no, what am I doing? I'm just gonna import it in. We can have a look at it in R. So this is the CSV file I've created. So you can open this up in Excel or whatever, Google Sheets, whatever your preferred thing is. And I've given it a category, title. So the title is, what the thing was called, the when, the institution. You could do you could set this up differently and have like a start date, end date, and then use some, some code to put those things together in it. That'd be fine too. I just was a bit slack with this one because it works, except for when you've got a dash and it's inconsistent. So anyway, that would be the advantage to creating a start date and an end date, because then you could maybe in the future, this template would look better with a dash instead of a 2. You don't have to manually change them all. You just do it that way. Just a bit more setup on the front end there, I guess. Got the where, and then I've added some details. And then something that I was sort of playing with an idea with was type. So I'll explain that in a bit, but the basic things are there. The title, the when, the where, that sort of stuff. So I read in my CSV file, and then I do a little filter under the education section so that I only get the category of education there. So that will then, typo is really throwing me. Will then filter out all of the education ones and pipe those into the detailed entries. So instead of manually typing in all of the education stuff there, this just filters it out and then puts that in as the detailed entries. I then do the same for work history, where I filter out only work ones. So I've only got work going into that, and that will then generate those that way. And that way I can have them all in the one CSV file, and I don't have to muck around with multiple CSV files or multiple sheets or whatever. I just have this category there that I can then filter it out by. So if I then knit this, what it will do is it will overwrite the PDF file that I already have open here. So we'll close out of that. Ooh, I've got an error. Yeah, maybe it was because it was open, but let's no.
Maybe you need to quote your website, perhaps, or
Well, I
Is it
didn't
the
have
Twitter ad?
because you uncommented Twitter and
That's-
something earlier, didn't you?
It's the Twitter ad.
It's the Twitter ad.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It's like, what did I change? That's what I changed. Shouldn't have gone there, That's what I get for using Twitter. There we go. All right, so we can see it's processing. It's now creating. It's generating it. It's interesting.
Citation.
It's running into an issue trying to do things with my Twitter account there. You make one tiny little change without knowing what you're doing there. But I think that should still be working and running. And so then that will put in all of those different changes for us there. That one line, stripping it up. You know what? I'm just gonna just remove Twitter. That's the problem.
This is the error that I get. Is that just like it hasn't loaded everything yet?
So did you run the tinytex, install tinytex and then install tinytex after that again?
Wait, I actually might not have done that.
Two step.
Yep.
So if anyone else is having that same error that got over there, when you do install tinytex, you need to install the tinytex package, but then you also then have to install tinytex again. So it's basically you're bringing the package into R and then you're using R to install LaTeX basically. So it's just because it's something outside of R and you're using R to then install that thing outside of R. That's the issue there. Right, so this time it worked. Just getting rid of Twitter clearly is the right thing to do because it now works. That's the message I'm receiving from the universe. And now if I open up the PDF there, we can see the color has now changed. So there's no longer that the red highlighting of the first three letters, sorry. We can see now there's that hi, my name is Nick part. And the rest of it is generated as it did before. And that's kind of the basics of it. So if you set up a CSV file with all your details in it, it means that you can then procedurally put it into here. If you need to fiddle with the template or use a different one, you can. Now, I will point out one little thing. You'll notice that this same thing, it's exactly the same 3 times. That's to get past a little quirk that I found in this template where if I wanted 3 different dot points under the same thing for the description, I need to put that in as 3 different lines and it automatically keeps these sections the same,
Right.
but then puts the dot points for each of those under it. So you can see here, that's these 3 dot points there. You'll also see on this one, this service desk analyst one, where I have 2 dot points that I tried to generate there, but those aren't actually dot points. Those are asterisks. It was me trying to do some stuff in the background, but it didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. So I ended up just going with this approach here. And it's not that complicated just to duplicate those lines and put in details there. So where I think this is most useful is bringing in this last part, type. So my thought here is sometimes you're applying for a job and you're like, yeah, I definitely want to put the fact that I volunteered at a veterinary place. I didn't do this. I'm just making up stuff. I volunteered at a vet. Sometimes that's appropriate to have in your resume, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all. So you need to take it out. And so if you've got that one, I don't know how everyone else does it, but I've got this one master resume that I then rip stuff out of, and it messes with the formatting. I have to do that every single time, and it's frustrating and annoying. Instead, just put all your stuff in a CSV file and then give it a type so that when you're applying for, you know, an academic job, you put a filter in underneath the education section. So you're also going to filter by category, and type is equal to academic. And that way it will only get things from your CSV file that match that type. So you probably want to set some up that it's, you know, there's things that you always put in your resume probably, and you put those ones in. I know I run into that. So I used to do archaeology, and now I'm kind of doing more IT stuff. Sometimes those things overlap. There's also certain things that obviously don't overlap. So sometimes I want to include certain things and sometimes I don't. So this allows you to do that. And that's the reason that I went down this long rabbit hole, is so that you can have this master spreadsheet of all of your work, education, whatever other categories you want to include, and then filter them out to then procedurally create that and kind of have a intelligently created resume instead of having to mess around with the formatting in that Word document that is now getting a bit old and probably need to change up, and then you have to fix everything up. Whereas this, you just bring in what you need to bring in. I mean, you could do all sorts of different filters to bring in the stuff that you want for that particular job, and then just use whatever template seems best at that time.
This is fantastic, Nick. It's been the bane of my existence for at least 20 years, having to deal with, you know, information buried in formatting. And I just love this idea that you would just strip it all out. I mean, I particularly like the way you've kind of outsourced the resume data problem to a spreadsheet, or it could be a database or anything. I think it's fantastic, because then you're able to quickly and efficiently change the formatting without having to get in there and mess with the content, the actual information. I love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Separation of data and formatting
Yeah, exactly. And that
is
well,
the key.
that's the point of things like Markdown and stuff like that. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, because it's like I've had this idea of doing it, and I'm like, I don't have the time to do it. So that's why it's great to do this at UQRUG. It's like, cool, here's a reason to do a scrappy version of it. I think so both of my brothers can use LaTeX and I don't. But they generate their resumes this way as well. I'm like, that seems like a great idea, but they have to do it this way, and it seems really fiddly. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So the CSV is the link there for me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to take full credit for this. I did get, I had the idea, but obviously someone else has had the idea already.
Yeah, sure.
So thanks has to go out to Our Ladies Melbourne for this video here, where they do a similar approach to what I did, except they use an XLSX file with sheets and they bring it in that way.
Yeah.
Kind of the main difference with my approach is just having that filter category, whereas they just bring it in based on different sheets of data. So this has been a really useful resource, this one. So it's kind of a little bit meta, because you can see it's a Zoom call.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this has been a really...
One possibility for your bullet point problem, you could introduce, like, just have a cell with a control character for the end of the line, and then get R to actually get your R code to pick out and break up the bullets.
Yeah.
Saves you, because it's much more sensible to, rather than sort of viewing them as three separate sort of contracts, which they're not. You could get your 3 bullet points into the same cell in your spreadsheet, and then have R kind of pull them apart.
Yeah, so that was the intention there behind having an asterisk there. I was hoping that it would pick that up as Markdown.
But don't rely on the template to do it. Have it within your code that filters and effectively converts your single row to multiple rows as required for the template.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So instead of having multiple rows in the CSV,
Actually, and also at the end of each line, bullet point line.
so you get R to look for something that you've got in there, and then
then split
the data that way.
Yeah.
That's a much better way. I'm looking forward to you sharing your resume template once you've done it, David. So those are the basics of it. Now, the bits that I kind of skated around at the start, kind of mentioned a little bit. Installing tinytex can be a pain. Like, it looks like it's supposed to be straightforward, where you just go install packages, install that, and that should do it. But there's always updates, because we're working with R, we're working with a package in R, we're working with LaTeX, which is a different language outside of R, and then we're also working with Pandoc, which helps all those things talk together. Which means if there's an update in one place and the others are not updated, things can start breaking. And so I updated things yesterday and I broke everything. So how did I resolve that? If you go to the actually I should just go this way around. If you go to the GitHub for Vitae, and if you go to the GitHub for any package, to be honest, it'd be a really useful place to go, because we can see here that the last edit here was last month. So we know it's not a dead package, or at least it's being supported probably. They could still be supported if it's older, but this shows that if you've got an issue, chances are it's been fixed, or it's being fixed, or people are talking about it, fixing it. But the useful thing here is the issues tab up here. And so if you've got a problem with a package, either someone's had it in the past and they're already talking about it, and you can find the solution there, or it's an active one. Now, this one you can see here where there's the \item error. I was getting a similar error to that. So I was like, maybe this is the one for me. So I clicked onto that and read through some stuff from November. And it seems like this started as a slightly different error, which then evolved into the same error that I'm having. And part way down, I think it was like last week that someone resolved this one. Yes, so after updating Vitae to the latest version, there seems that there's a incompatibility with Pandoc. So if you go to the Pandoc website and then download their latest installer, which then takes you back to the Pandoc GitHub, funnily enough, you can then update Windows from there. Now, you shouldn't need to do this normally. It's just clearly I've decided to run this at a time where things are a little bit out of sync with each other. But that's what happens with open source things and even non-open source things. But generally, you can find someone in a GitHub forum or in a RStudio community forum or a Stack Overflow forum discussing that issue. And it's just funny to see this so fresh of a solution here. And so when I updated Pandoc to that version, everything started working. So that was the issue, it seems. Yeah, I'm not going to go in too much more detail into that today, but I'm happy to follow up if people have questions on that. But hopefully hopefully David's happy with it, but hopefully everyone else can see the potential benefits of that, the advantages of that, without it being too intimidating. If you're still pretty new to R, that was a lot of new things all at once. But hopefully you can kind of see where you can go with those kind of things and build different skills together. So having an understanding of knitr is helpful, and having an understanding of, what was that? Was just some dplyr, so it's not that, not getting too deep there, but just the way that you can connect different things together to really make some nice, elegant processes. Vitae is not the only resume creating package in R, as you probably are not surprised at all to hear. In the R Ladies Melbourne session, sorry, Zoom's just gotten in the way there. They do talk about another package. I didn't like the way that it was set up. You had to kind of do a lot more on the front end of things and set up the CSV file in a really specific way. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I really want it just to be simple and take it that way. But yeah, and there's probably even more than just those two out there. Yeah, so if you want to learn more, this was actually a pretty good little video to watch. It goes into more detail than I've gone into. And yeah, there's all sorts of stuff out there. I'd be keen to see how people go if you do explore this and you create anything interesting. So if anyone does take this and run with it, let me know, and hopefully we'll see you on what is the end of February, the 28th of February. Yeah, if you create a resume in that time, I'd be keen to see it. Be probably more interested in seeing your code that you use to create the resume, but also seeing the resume and whatever templates you decide to use. Both is good. But yeah, that's the overview for this month, and happy to open to more questions that we've got about this. But otherwise, happy to then pass through to the kind of the drop-in help session side of things. Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions or concerns?
Oh yeah, it's still broken.
Did you install Pandoc?
No,
Yeah.
but the error message said to do this little bit, repository Illinois.
Yeah,
So I'm doing that and it's running and it's really thinking hard about it.
yeah.
So
Actually, so yeah, I think I got a similar thing, but it's because things are out of sync with each other. Just install tinytex,
got that
go manually install Pandoc, and then it should all
manually
work
for the
nicely.
website.
Yeah, manually
Okay.
through the website. So I'll drop that. Just closed it. I'll drop that in the chat. So if you are wanting to do it, that's where you need to go to install Pandoc from. Yeah. And this is where the rest of the details are on Vitae. So if you also just Google Pandoc, and go to pandoc.org and go to installing, you can then install the latest installer from there. which will take you to the GitHub for it, and you probably want the this one here on your computer, probably.
A Messiah or is it? I don't know what a Messiah stands for.
MSI is if you're on Windows.
Yeah,
It's
it's
an installer.
it's just a different way of packaging it.
It's like, is it what Microsoft installer or something?
I don't know what it stands for, but something like that.
I think it's probably Microsoft installer.
That makes sense.
All right,
Microsoft software installer.
Microsoft software installer. That actually makes a lot of sense. All right, let's have a look what questions we have for today. Oh, there's more than one. All right, so first up, Pia has a question. Just to say someone has come across this problem and found a solution, I created a bump chart which looks fine. If I use ggplotly, the left aligned text becomes centered. Anyone know if there's a way to left align the text again within ggplotly? All right. I haven't run into this, but that's really running into needing to set things up so that ggplotly handles it differently.
I think I remember something a while ago. I think it's within theme and then you go like element text and then I think there's like an line option within that. It's been a long time since I had that problem though.
That's what you would do with ggplot, right? As well.
Oh,
in
true.
general.
That would be ggplot, not ggplot.
I don't know if that converts over to the ggplot because it sounds like that's what Pia's doing.
Are you happy with sharing your screen and sharing your code with everybody, Pia?
I can show you the result. I only got into this morning again. I had this problem already last year and then I started to look at it. But I did this in ggplot with the theme and the line. That's exactly what I did. That's why I said in ggplot it looks all fine. I can show you. I show you my graph problem and I look for the. Where is the share? Right. Oh.
Let's have a look.
So this is how the interactive graph looks now. So that's my problem in the in the bump chart. They're on that side. They're nicely left aligned and right aligned with this theme. And then when so I'm not sure whether that is within. So with ggplotly, then I have the chart, and then I just put this in like this. Oh yeah, I tried this again with the theme, but nothing happens.
So can you show us what it looks like in ggplot and then also show us what it looks like that you don't like it looking like in Plotly? Can we see both of those?
Did you see the plotly one?
And
Yeah, so I saw the
yes, I was
one at the start, but I want to see what it looks like when it's good and not interactive.
Ah.
That text is all rather than center aligned,
Where is it?
left aligned.
Should be. Ah, if you have some other questions before I look for my it's here. Wrong.
Yeah, it looks like there might be something you can do with layout, but I see you've already been playing with layout as a thing.
Mm. Mm.
Can you add the names as like a separate thing and then tell it where to put it? Like an annotation or a text thing?
And just remove the text otherwise, yeah. Do you wanna have a play here and
Do you
we'll
think that would
come back
Yeah.
to you, or, yep,
Yes, please.
all right. We'll move to Jocelyn's question. Oh, share that screen again. Yeah, if people have thoughts and answers, feel free to edit and throw those in now. As we go to the next question. So Jocelyn's question is, there are certain packages that I use all the time. Is there a way to load these packages by default in RStudio?
Probably something I could have Googled, sorry everyone, but yeah, just interested because yeah, I use like ggplot and dplyr and things like that all the time, and like go to run something and it's like, oh, it's not loaded, load the package, and it's obviously not that big a deal, but I don't know if there's like a setting in RStudio to.
There is.
Awesome.
It creates the potential. I mean, if your code's just for you, the only issue would be if you share your code with someone else, you then have to make sure you've got those
That's true,
libraries
yeah.
loaded in for them. But I get the convenience side of things, absolutely.
You could source in a text file that has those your favorite packages. Put that at the top of every R code that you run. Again, it's the same issue though. If you give the code to someone else, you've got to give them the
Yeah, that's
source
probably
file.
the most convenient way to do it.
Yeah, great idea, thank you.
There is a way you can do it. It looks like. Oh, let me just try something. I'm just going to test it first to see that it works before I share it. I do.
Yeah, I had that problem. I did one of my first sort of R encounters with R. I was working on 3 different computers, and they were different operating systems and different paths, and I had sort of basically a BF block that worked out from the host name which set of parameters to apply to the code. So it was the same script ran on each machine. It was quite efficient when I figured it out.
Can I restart now?
What's that?
Can I restart the code without closing and starting up?
I think if you just restart session.
Let's start. So weird. Unexpected thing, isn't it? Okay, so now we just go ggplot. Not fine. Oh no. Oh, it's ggplot. Why? Why do you have to do that too?
And then restart R again.
Yeah, restart. No, we give ggplot. Could not find function.
Yeah. Maybe it's not a permanent change when you do that.
Oh no, you need to open.
Oh, Cameron's digging.
Oh no, I see. Sorry, no, keep going.
That's right. Anyone else have thoughts, please? Or shall we let Cameron have a dig? And then we can come back to that when Cameron's got more things. Cool. All right. David has a comment on Pandoc.
Oh, just if people are curious about the magic that goes on there, because a lot of stuff goes on in the console window when you convert. So this just because I've taught one of the software carpentry workshops, and it has a section on knitr and markdown, and yeah, so I guess the why Pandoc sort of appears there. And how it sort of stitches things. So it takes the R markdown and sort of blows it out into strict markdown and a bunch of figures that are in funny locations, and then Pandoc scoops all that stuff up and puts it together in a HTML file or a PDF or a Word document if you choose that option. So yeah, and so obviously if you want to create tech, then you've got to have tinytex installed if you want to do words supported, because we always have trouble. So we always say to people, just don't sort of aim for the stars. Just do HTML for today, and because they invariably don't have all the toolkit they need to make tech and to make PDF via tech. So anyway, just if you people are curious.
Yeah, I guess with that Vitae issue we're running into, if you chose a simpler template that outputted to HTML instead of PDF, you probably have a nicer time.
Yeah, because it's interesting because I've taught that unit several times, and I just went looking for Pandoc installed in my machine. I couldn't find it, but maybe I'm not looking in the right places. But it clearly works, so it must be there. That's
So we've got one other question in the hedge doc. So we'll have a look at that and then we'll circle back to you here.
Okay. Right.
Well, you're ready?
I'm ready, but
Right. We'll go back to Pia then. I'll stop sharing and let you share.
okay, so that's the plot, how it looks when it's not interactive. But that's the other thing. So I didn't do anything in ggplotly to get the years to the bottom. It just did this all automatically. So that's how the original plot looks like. But that code, but maybe that's a bit much to look at. And then when you when I just do, and that's what happens automatically. So I don't tell anything about to put the axis to the bottom again. And I made this attempt to get this left aligned, but it didn't do anything. So I just wondered whether this is some issue that just maybe the bump chart is not very concept and a ggplotly don't work well together, or is there a solution?
So what's happening is that Plotly is just centering that by default. So there's some sort of setting in the layout when the Plotly chart is generated and it centers those. So we just need to find out whatever's doing that and tell it to not do that. Right?
Yeah.
Anyone enough to know what that is? I think you're right about layout.
That's in ggplot though, not.
That's ggplot.
Should be able to do layout things in Plotly
You
too,
should be able to.
but I don't know what the.
So
Thanks for coming.
when you turn that ggplot into a ggplotly, concept interactive, the titles are centered, so it doesn't look as pretty.
And I guess they're not. They'd be y-axis something.
Great.
Awesome.
Put it on the hedge doc.
Thanks for that.
I guess we could add them as annotations, but that just feels like a lot of annotations.
I have been there. I have individually added things like this and put the locations because it just wasn't quite doing what I wanted.
But then you just made a text out of it and put it there. But I just thought I put it out there and just in case somebody had come across this. I mean, I searched a lot on Google already about this and I couldn't come to anything. But I also don't have a list of everything I tried already. But I keep looking. I mean, I have to find a solution this week. And where I'm happy to share this next time. Whatever I came up with or found, then more.
How long did it take for you to render your first? Oh, it's moving again.
A while. Does yours keep doing like a? Yes.
It's been doing that.
MKTeX, I should say, LSR. So if anyone is trying to do the resume CV creation thing again, the first time you run it, it has to install a bunch of dependencies for that template. And it will keep doing this running mktech lsr, and it's making a tech LSR database thing, the details it needs to create that format.
Okay.
The first time you run it, it takes ages.
Okay, just making sure that I didn't break it.
No, and it's like, why is it taking so long? And it's like, oh, I've got to install this 35 kilobyte file. You're like, why are you taking so long to do that? That's tiny. There must be something weird that it's getting tripped up on when it does it. But it only does it the first time
Okay, cool.
that you use that template.
Well, are there any web-based tools that does the same thing
The-
for the CV?
Sure. Probably, but. Does anyone know of good, like, is in just general web-based tools for generating CVs and stuff like that?
You can build a resume with LinkedIn, but can't remember how good it was. Which,
Like, some sort of output thing.
yeah, like you can, like, I've done it before, but I can't remember what options it gave you. But you can, yeah, you can create from your profile and pull different things, I think. But it's not great.
There's a website called Overview that you can edit LaTeX files on it, but I'm not sure I can create CVs in them. Oh, actually they can. Found a web-based tool that can do the same thing.
I'll go back to sharing my screen. I realized I stopped sharing. So I don't know if we've got an answer for Pia, but if people want to keep digging and playing with Plotly solutions for Pia, I'm keen for that to happen. I guess I kind of summarize it. You might be able to use the layout thing within Plotly because Plotly does have that as a thing. So Plotly's got this like a layout thing that you can modify. But it seems to be more title focused rather than axis title focused, but there may be stuff within the deeper reference layout for Plotly. So that may be the approach to go. You know, I found, is this the one that I found? Is this the one? Like this one, they're looking at the title where they use title. That's what they want it to look like. And that's what Plotly does. So it's that same issue where it centers it. And they use, you know, layout and they change the anchor to move it to the side. The issue is that's, again, for title, not axis titles. So there might be a way, but that will require some digging further. So the other alternative is just using Plotly from the beginning. So Plotly is its own, Plotly is its own thing, but you can use Plotly within R as well. And so instead of using ggplot to write your plots, you could use Plotly to write the plots.
Okay, thanks for this.
Yeah, we're happy to play further, but we'll move on to some of the others. We'll move to Rena's question, and then we'll circle back to those others. Okay, Rena's question is, I need to analyze data statistically across different factors / categories in the specific columns. I'm new to using R, so I can see that one by one. How do I do it using a for loop? Sorry for the trivial question. I don't know, every question's trivial and not at the same time. Do you want to,
Thank you.
yeah, do you want to share your screen or show your code? Or
Yeah, maybe it's better to share my screen, so it's gonna be easier for me to explain.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, so I have several data, and one of it is about enzyme activity. So the data looks like this. I have like 5 columns, and the first 4 columns are categorical data, and the last one is activity. So what I want to analyze is I want to analyze the activity for each enzyme. but then across different treatment and then across different zone and also across different time. And then by I start to make other data frames to subset the enzymes. Like I have 3 enzymes, so I make new data frames for glucosidase, phosphatase, and NAG. But then for different enzymes, I need to analyze the activities for different time points. Oh, sorry, yeah, different time points, but across treatment. And then also by zone. And I made it, but I did it like one by one. So I'm thinking maybe I can use for loop, but I have difficulties to make or to change this code into the for loops. Sorry, is it complicated? The way I explained it. Do you want me to post this code to the chat or?
No, it's just thinking through. I mean, yeah, I mean you've broken it down and you've got something that works. I guess it's so running for you want to run for loops over those category or those variable names and then
Yeah.
draw on that. I haven't done a lot of that. Is that even possible? How do we? I guess you could create a vector with the names in it for each of those column. You know, the entries in the column. You could create a vector and then just for each of the and do it as a filter by match.
Yeah, like this is
that would work. Yeah, so you could at least you could try one. So just do a loop over the values that are contained in the time column, for example. So you could do do a for loop over T1, T2, etc.
Yeah, I got the concept, but I'm having difficulties with the hard code, with the coding, you know, like
Oh yeah, sure.
the language. Yeah.
All right. So if you started a for loop somewhere there, can we have a look at? All right. So you've got.
For example, this across. Sorry. Oh, sorry. For different time points.
Sure. Okay. So you've already got a. Do you have a data frame that already has the beta glucan? Can't even say that.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
beta thing for the different time points. Have you got a filtered version of the data with just that in it? Looks like you might a bit further down there. So I see. So you've gone one step further and gone for so you've got a glucose. Yeah, that one there. So the
Yeah, like this one.
In fact, I'm actually looking at the so when you do the first subset there at line 189, the data frame. Can you just show me the data frame that is the parameter
enzyme
for the subset?
Oh yeah. Wait, I need to.
Yeah, there it is up there. So you've just.
It's this one.
Yeah. So just take us back to the code.
Yeah.
Up the top there, line 171.
171. Oh yeah, this one.
Right. So you've subsetted on the enzyme.
Yeah.
But then you will still have different time values and what was the other variable?
Yeah, so different time values and also
the activity. The activity
zone and treatment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Look, I mean, if you really want to go nuts, you've just got to handle what comes out of it at the other end. So if you could do a nested loop, but let's just do one for now.
Let's just do one for time.
Yeah.
What is the output of that of say 189? Like if you do from 189 to 193, what's the output?
189. Okay, so I can try.
What do we get from a
so
test?
This is the output, like this. So I can run it one by one, but I'm thinking if maybe I can make like nested loop or like for loop to run it in one go. But yeah, I've asked ChatGPT, but it's always giving me error. So maybe
I mean, in essence, the for loop kind of parameterizes the the things that you're doing. So you're doing the same chunk of programming effectively over and over, but you're just changing the names. So what you want to do is do that, have one instance of that chunk of code, but have it parameterized in a way where you can substitute the value of the enzyme, or the value of the time, or the value of the zone. And that's pretty much how loops will work. You pass into the loop the value of the as it's going through the loop. It takes the current value and replaces something inside the loop. So it's a matter of coding that up. So
Well,
180.
should I start with 4 something?
Just say for time in T1. Oh, sorry, am I got the right language? I program in several different languages. You want the time in the values T1 and T2, say. T1, T2, T3.
Oh, what? Just like this?
Actually, you could do it as a vector. So do it as a C open bracket.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I don't think you need to quote it.
Like this?
Should be a round brackets.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then, oh gosh.
You'll have to put between time and that last bracket in brackets as well. So
Okay.
from start of time, from
Where is it here?
second set of parentheses. So from just after 4 until the end of that. So yeah, just that.
Yeah.
Open bracket, then close it at the end.
Oh, just round brackets.
Sorry, I'm
And then close it there.
doing too much shell programming in the last week.
And then open some curly parentheses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then put the loop inside that. So you should be able to just replace.
So you could take lines 191 through to and actually do subsetting.
Like this one?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then put it here. Like this?
Yep. And you've automatically, automatically then reduced the amount of work because you're now going to. So just call it instead of on line 189.
Yeah.
Or 187, you want to say that the glucose underscore time.
Oh yeah. Time, yes.
And then
this
time,
one as well.
And time equals over on the end of line 187. You want to substitute the value from the loop. So it will it'll be time, but don't quote it. I think you'll have to. And this might see how that goes.
And then this one also time, right?
Yep. And then it's just, so what you're doing is you're kind of abstracting. That's how loops work. You sort of abstract what you're trying to do, and then you'll be able to build on this. You'll then be able to put another loop on the outside of that, which goes across a zone, for example. So you've got, although you're actually doing the thing for, you're doing the report actually contains the different zones. So that could even work.
Yeah, just
Can
try running that one for now.
Try to write it?
Yeah,
Okay.
You'll need that last.
Yeah,
This
it may
one?
not work, but just run it.
Yeah, so it's an error. It is an error in the.
Oh, you might have to quote those.
Yeah, so in the C, in the combine, up on 186.
Yeah, it thinks T1 is a variable, so just put it in double quotes.
Okay, for each.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're constructing the vector of values, and then you want to use those values.
Should I try again?
Yep, try it again.
Yeah, I think it works, but
Where did the output go?
So
wait, sorry.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is, so I've just pasted some code in the chat.
Okay.
So where you've got glucosidase time,
Mm-hmm.
replace it with the code that I put in the chat, doing a paste 0, because what it's done is it's treated glucosidase time as a variable rather than treating it as part of the loop.
Is it here?
The code, so just where it says glucosidase underscore time.
Oh,
so
this one. Oh no.
Yeah, both
Is
of
it
them.
here?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, there.
Yep.
And here as well, right?
Yep. But so that's a function that needs to start with paste 0.
That's what I was worried about.
So on the other side of that bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing a paste 0 effectively to create the variable.
Like this.
Yeah. And that should do. So
this
what paste 0 does, it will take things together and stick them together. That's what pasting does.
Okay.
So what that should do is take glucosidase underscore and then the looped variable of time and stick those together. So it should be glucosidase underscore T1 and so on each loop.
Okay, should I try again to run
Yeah,
it?
give it a go. We'll see what it does.
There's an error again.
I'll give it a sound.
Yeah, I'm worried about the time equals time thing.
Yeah. This time it should refer to this one, right?
That's correct. It should be referring to the value of that, the current value from the loop.
Just change it.
Maybe.
Change it instead of time, have it as just like I or something, so we know it's not trying to be weird.
Oh, I.
Yeah,
This is
time
I.
is fine. Yeah, anything really.
This.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
Change
each
it down there. Yeah.
you'll have to change it in each spot where we've got time currently.
Line 189 as well.
189.
Set the paste to 0, both of those.
This one.
Yep, I.
Yeah, and this one as well.
Yep.
Okay, I'll try again. There's still an error. I don't know why.
Stands to a non.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we need to do the paste 0 because we can just create the same data frame. As long, I guess we probably have to delete it and then.
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I thought you were creating a lot of data frames you didn't really need. You only needed them because you needed a filter, a subset. However, I think the issue is this passing the subset.
No, it's an issue with the paste.
Is it? Okay. Expands to a non-language object.
Oh, by using paste 0, we've created something within quotes. So it's not an object, it's
Right. Yep.
text. So it's a language object. That's my bad.
Can we strip the quotes off?
Sorry?
Just thinking, can we do a clean strip of the quotes? Like string something. But I think we've still got this problem with the passing the current value of I into the subset function. Yeah, what we want to, but I thought that's what that syntax meant. Where is it gone? So I was wondering if you needed to have the data frame $time. So in front of on line 187.
Yeah, 187.
I think we need to let's go back to just recycling the same data frame on the left-hand side of the assignment thing. So maybe just remove the paste 0 and the quotes.
What about the brackets?
Yeah, that, and then over there, and then delete. Yeah, delete back 1, 2, 3. Sorry, no, put up the end of the I. Yep, and then delete 1, 2, 3. So you just want it. We're just creating a new data frame. We'll have to call it underscore time or something.
Yeah.
So you're subsetting that enzyme. You've already subsetted for that enzyme. You want to subset on the time. So should we inline 187?
Yeah.
Let's just try this first. So in 187.
90. Sorry, which line again?
Line 187.
187.
Yeah,
Yes.
where it says time. I mean, Nick, do we need to put in the data frame name and the dollar, and then maybe do something with the value of I?
Okay. Is
If
it
we
like
were to create multiple
this?
multiple data frames per thing.
No. So that's not what I meant. 187, just towards the end there, where you've got time is matching So what I want you to do is put the name of the data frame and a dollar in front of the time.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's causing the issue. I think it's
Okay.
I think what's happening is on 189, we've got the paste 0. What's happening there is it's creating a text object. And so what I've thrown into the chat is the assign function, which will turn that text object into an object.
Oh, where should I paste it? Sorry, where should I
So-
put that?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see. I didn't
If
see
you
that.
if you grab that text and just replace glucose underscore time, and then also the stuff
Oh,
that's
yeah.
on 189. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now try running that.
Yeah.
I glucose underscore I.
It's doing the same thing. All right, maybe you're right, David.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just concerned about. We want to have the value of I used in the filter. So even if we, yeah, right, okay. Just comment out 187. We might be able to work with it. And then just go back to the simple. No, just put a hash in front of it.
But what? Sorry.
Just put a hash.
A hash.
A hash. The shift 3.
Oh.
At the start of 187, just to hide that for now.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do too.
Become comment.
Just control Z. I think should get you back. Control Z. Does that work?
Oh, sorry. Control.
Control Z. Undo.
Oh yeah.
All right, and then just put the hash. Just get the cursor back to the front.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, so let's go. Let's just try this simple because there's something about the way the subsetting is not working that I think is the problem. So press enter.
Enter.
And then we're just going to say we've got a new. The name of the new frame. So glucose days underscore time. Yep, and we're going to assign that. So yep, and we're going to the subset of the full frame.
How do we subset?
Subset, yeah, just what you've got above now on the right hand side. The name of the full data frame.
Oh yeah. This one.
Yep, comma, and then time equals, and this is where I think the problem still lies, but double equals I.
Sorry. I.
All right. And just run. Actually, we're in the loop, aren't we? So you'll have to. All right, and then take that same text and copy it down to 191. Again, maybe comment out 191 and then paste the other thing in above or below, whatever.
Paste this one. Is it correct like this?
Yep. Yep, that's right, because we've already done the filter. Okay.
Did I try?
Yep, try it. And we'll just see what error we get this time.
Oh yeah, it's working,
Okay.
but how can I see the output? Is it the output? Glucose time?
Well, glucose time will be, no, you want the output of that report, which I think is in viewer over on the bottom right-hand corner.
Right-hand corner. What is it?
Now down, just down below where you are, there's a bold, the word viewer, V-I-E.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, viewer.
Okay. I don't know. No, okay, it didn't go there. What does it do with it? Let's put it somewhere. Oh, this is all done in, this is a markdown document, isn't it?
Sorry?
This is
marking
a markdown
document. Yeah, it's marking document. So usually the output appears here, right? Below the chunk.
Right. Okay. Well, that's in principle what you've got to do. So you parameterize the you use the values that you're looking to subset on. So then you could wrap another layer on this. So you could, instead of having it, you could just have on line 188, you could just have a subsetted frame, and then that is the subset based on the enzyme and the time and the what was the other thing, the class or something, the 4 parameters. So you could actually do this all as one big for loop if you wanted to. But you probably just want to test. You probably just want to test with one value on each dimension, just to make sure you got everything right. Otherwise, it could get messy. But then it's just a matter of where that is. I guess that's embedded. That loop's embedded within some chunk, isn't it, in R Markdown? So it's probably you're probably gonna have to run the whole thing to see the final report.
So one way that you could approach that is within the loop, you assign the output of the Kruskal test to its own data frame, and that way you can then add to it each time you run through the loop. So instead of just having an output, have it go to like an output data frame that you create beforehand, and then that would likely get you across the line.
So it's still in the for loop, right?
Yes, so inside the for loop, doing something
Like Kruskal report, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And but it's the put that at the start of 191.
This one.
Yeah, so at the very start of that. So don't get rid of
Insert it in there.
So put it before the glucosidase time, including
Like this one.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if that'll work, but it should do something.
I will try.
Close to what we want.
It'll work the first time for sure, and then we can see.
Yeah, it's there, but it's only.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's related to another issue within the loop.
Yeah.
So I think what might be happening is because we're generating we're running the loop 3 times, but that subset is being assigned once each time, and then I think it's probably just overriding the outputs each time. So that's like the 3rd time it ran, it's overwritten it instead of appending it.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
So what's you're talking about the funny heading on it?
Oh, but I think it should be correct. But yeah, usually for each zone, maybe there are 3 outputs for each time point. So I don't know.
Well, that's right, because you're doing a group by zone, so you've got 3 outputs, but they're for the T3 value. As I was suggesting before, you make sure it works for the first one. So if you were to change the for loop, so that so copy line up 186.
Sorry,
186.
186. Yes, this one.
No, 186.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this one.
So copy that, and then just go to the end of 186.
Okay.
Press enter. Go backspace twice. And paste. Okay, and then just comment out 186. So put a hash in front of 186.
Yeah.
And then remove T2 and T3 from that vector.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Now run it, and it'll it'll let you see what's happening the first time, and then you can sort of maybe put the second one on, see what happens the second time.
Yeah. So it's just running the one.
Yeah.
So what we can do instead is.
So maybe this is something on that Kruskal report.
Yeah. So instead of doing it that way, so on 187, generate. So we've already got the Kruskal report. So on that line is where I would create the empty data frame that you're going to fill. So go to 195 and add a new line below that.
Like this one?
195.
Oh, sorry.
At the very end of the loop.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, below that.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
create a new variable. Let's call it Cruskle underscore all.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that's
And then assignment operator to that. Yep. And then go bind underscore rows.
Right?
And then put the Cruskle underscore report in there. And so what that should do is it should generate a new report each time. And then when it gets to the bottom, stick those rows into a broader data frame, and that should work, I think. So give that a go.
Oh, we
Could
go back.
happen.
All right, let's see what happens there, but then we'll need to.
Oh, still like this.
It didn't do
So,
anything different.
so I'm wondering if it's is it what is the enzyme what is the underscore time? What does that what does that data frame look like over on the
This one,
yeah, just over there. What's his?
it looks like this. So it's only taking
It's something about the way the report's being generated. That's
yeah, it's only taking T1.
Wait, go back to the RMD.
Yeah.
Go back to the RMD.
Yeah.
So back to the code. We didn't bring back the rest of the thing, so it's just doing it for T1. Can you add the T2 and T3 back in?
oh yeah, no, that's not. I'm still hung up on the heading because it's, and I think that's because it generates a report. T3 and you want T2. Yep.
Yeah. Now try running that.
Okay.
And we might have to call it at this one and go to the next question. Yeah, that didn't work. My bad. We might have to go to the next question.
Yeah. Okay. I can try.
I guess the passing advice at the end here is next week on Wednesday in the morning we're doing a session on how to do loops in R. So I recommend you come along to that.
Okay, I was
next Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
That will be in person here at St. Lucia over in the Dewey Tower in room 2117. Over at just behind Merlot.
Okay, yeah, I'll come. Thank you so much.
The other thing that you come along to is Hacky Hour every Tuesday afternoon. You will find David and sometimes myself there, and we can help you with this further. And then the other thing that you can do is reach out to training at library.uq.edu.au. We might be able to meet up to have a chat there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nick and David.
Right. No worries. I'll just give you the link for the Zoom for Hacky Hour on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Find otherwise.
So Hacky Hour is a multiple help thing that you can come along to ask questions for.
Okay.
And R is one of those things. So we have two funnel questions here. We've got one that's how to get rid of grid lines of uneven thickness in a heat map. Depends on probably what heat map function you're using, because there are many. ggplot 2? Interesting.
So that is what it looks like in R. So the grid lines are fine, but once I exported it. I'm not thicker than the others. I have no idea why. I've seen them in research papers as well. So
How'd you export it? So what was the export?
Export as
Oh,
a
you
PNG.
used save underscore. Must be something to do with the weird with the way that like the PNG export handles it.
I tried to export it as a PDF and it's the same.
Do you mind if I just do a test export
Yeah.
to your scripts folder? Is that an okay place for it to go?
Yeah.
Where did I just save that to? Oh, fine. Weird. Okay, there's some, again, what I'll get you to do is I'll go to the next question, but in the meantime, I'll get you to join onto the Zoom so you can share your screen with everybody. You can find this, your Zoom's not cooperating.
Just joining Zoom for half an hour.
That's so rude. Okay, so this heat map is specifically a ggplot2 heat map. There are a lot of different heat map functions. If you attended my heat map session last week, I showed 4 or 5 different ones. There's heat map 2, pretty heat map, complex heat map, ggplot, lots of different ways to make heat maps. This is a ggplot2 one, which is probably more customizable, but a little bit more complicated. But that aside, there's a weird thing that when you're using the export function within ggplot, where it's some of the grid lines are bigger than others. And I don't really know why it's doing that. But then when I use the, you go into R and you go into the plot and you use the export button there, I click save as image, it didn't do it. So there's something weird happening in the export process. Because that image
is pretty low, so I can't use that.
oh yeah, I mean, I was just seeing what would happen if I did that. So it must be something related to something going on in that part there. Because I just really quickly did it.
Yeah.
So there's, maybe you could fiddle with the DPI in that export, or you said it's the same when you do PDF and.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as interesting for everyone online if they can't see it. So. What I'll do is I'll jump to Danelle's question.
Oh, wow, I'm on.
Oh,
How do I share?
stop my sharing.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like when you save it in R, but when I export it. Oh, where was it? Yeah, it looks like this. So it's somewhat bigger than yours.
And it's almost as like, is it just me or is it like a gradient where it gets thick? It's thickest on the left and then it gets gradually, I mean, there's obviously that one jump pointed foot pull, but it seems to be, maybe it's thinnest at the very end. I'm not sure.
Does it only happen when it gets pasted into Word? Or
I export it as a PNG, so it looks like that.
Do you want to just go through the steps in R and we'll see what we see?
Yeah, it might be PNG is not handling the gradient very well.
So what's your name again?
Sorry.
So I was saying that even exporting to PDF still had the similar issue. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could boost. Can try boosting the DPI and then shrink it back when you put it into the document you've got it in.
Okay.
So do you want to just run it for us now so we can see what happens when you run 337?
337.
Oh, like as in when you run the GG save.
Oh,
Right, that looks like it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Doing that thing.
Yeah.
So David's the first thought, what would you say? Just bump up the
I mean,
DPI?
when in doubt, use a higher resolution and then shrink it back when you start using it in a document. So go 600 or 1200 DPI. It'll just affect the file size.
Yeah, that's the same.
JPEG is the same. We tried JPEG.
JPEG, you might want to give it a really high value for there must be a parameter for compression.
You'll also change the name, otherwise Windows is going to get confused. Would it be the same for SVGs, like vector graphics?
Yes.
I wonder if you need to actually like set the width of the grid to get it to export correctly.
It does look like these sort of things come up sometimes when you've got fine structures that it can't decide whether it's 1 pixel or 2, and so that would explain a variation in the width of the line.
So I always recommended PDF because that'll be another vector-based format, but you said you already tried PDF and had the same result.
Well, let's try it and give it maximum device PDF and maybe just boost the DPI again to 2400. Doesn't really matter. It's
See what it does.
give it a whirl. File's actually not that big.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you try removing height and width as variables, as arguments, sorry. So on 339, line 339, just inside GG save. So I reckon it's inside GG save is where the weirdness is coming in. So just
yeah, for sure.
get rid of height and width. I mean, obviously it's not going to look the way you want it to, but we can go from there.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's still doing it, but more.
Wow.
What do those first few columns have in common? Like those first, is there something going on with those tick marks there? Do they have like longer titles or?
No.
This is the thermoplot itself, right?
Because I have other heat plots that are similar, but different data, so it all happens if you. I'm not sure what's going on. It's always the first 6 columns.
All right, can you go back to R?
That sounds like a bug in the package. Yeah.
And go plots in the plots pane on the right hand side. And go export,
Graphic.
image, PDF, whichever.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what resolution that just that in, but that should just be in there, yeah. Interesting. Wait, so it didn't do it when I did it before, did it?
Yep.
So it's not GG save.
So can you try going to why did it
you?
go-
Can we just have a look at the console and see what command that actually did? It probably was a GG save, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Oh no, hang on. Just said saving in an image. All right, no, that was.
I didn't do it. Right. So if you go to image plots again, export to it.
Save it like this.
I just went to export and went save as image. But
It's
give it a
really, it's really
need
crude,
much
but you
bigger width and height.
Yeah.
So
maybe maintain aspect ratio. Yeah, maybe don't. Oh,
yeah, have we got that?
it might scrunch it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
It's weird.
Here's an odd one.
And you've seen it in publications as well?
Yeah.
Widespread feeling. Okay. It's something to do with the saving process in there.
Yeah.
No worries, right
I just thought of something. What was it?
I feel like this must be a more wide, like this isn't a local issue. If you've seen it in papers and all sorts of stuff like that, clearly there's something going on there. And this feels like if someone wants to do some deep Googling, I think that's what we might have to do. But I guess in the meantime, does that export process work for you? You just have to really up the.
And the other thing you could do if the plot viewer view of it is good, then you can put that on a big screen, make it as big as possible, and then just literally take a screenshot. Not with your phone, but use an app like well, I still use that silly old thing called Snippy or something. It's but yeah, use capture the image at high resolution with the lines at the correct thickness. No, that would at least give you a PNG or a JPEG.
Okay.
It does look like it's struggling to export properly.
Yeah. Thanks.
So the difference between when we exported it from as an image that time and before is that I guess we had that image preview beforehand when it exported, so the image was already generated, whereas when we used ggSave, it was generating it as it went. So maybe there's something weird going on in that process and it's tripping over itself or something. Yeah. I might have a deep dive into that.
I'm just going to stop sharing because
It's all right.
my battery is not coming on.
Just take out a sharing screen. There you go. All right, last question. I think we've got time for it. I'm combining data frames using tidy and the tibble is populating normally, but when writing to Excel, loses the column heading. So I've tried header equals true, which you'd think you'd do that, but that didn't help. How do I retain column headings when exporting from tibble to Excel? Do you want to share your screen for that one?
I can't while you're still sharing, apparently.
Good catch. This feels like it should be straightforward, but we will see.
So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of variables that I've had to pull from all different kinds of material to calculate. So I'm looking at a benefit calculation for quality of life, and so they've got a few different measures there. So I've generated a whole bunch of like code up here to very messy but crude but effective. And so that's combined into these two data frames there, which is using the reduce and full join. And then when I try and write them to Excel, like so their column headings are all there and that's fine, that looks great. And then when I generate the Excel file using that right XLSX, it does that. So there's absolutely no column headings.
What package is that particular Excel export from? Is that XLSX package?
Yes, yeah.
I wonder if there's like a weird setting in that one there.
Yeah, that's where I tried to put the column names is true, and like I've used the header equals true as well, and it doesn't make any difference. So
You
I don't know.
Go to the help menu for that function, right? Right.xlsx. If you click on line 304, click on the function name. Thanks for coming. And then press F1 or function F1 on that function. It'll open up the help menu for that particular function.
Okay.
The cursor.
As in up here.
Yep, and then it's either F1 or function F1, depending on your keyboard settings. There you go.
Oh, okay.
The easiest way to get to the help menu.
Yeah.
So that's using Open XLSX.
So
just down in the bottom, it actually, so I see that you've got col underscore names. I think it's actually meant to be col names with a capital N, no underscore.
okay, I can try that.
Some good suspense.
Nothing.
Dang. Yeah, you would have thought it would complain if it didn't like.
Yeah, there's no error or anything. It just doesn't do it. It just
Yeah.
ignores it.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. They're just numerical values and a text heading.
Yeah.
I mean, you could export it as CSV and then import it into to see if that does any different.
Okay. I wouldn't get the two sheets with that though, would I?
True. Yeah, that's true. But at least we could sort of
Could
on the problem.
Can we try using just a different right? Because there's right dot XLSX and there's
Oh yeah.
right
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
underscore XLSX, which is a different. I think that's right Excel package. I don't know if
Okay.
you've got that one installed. You probably won't if you don't.
No, I didn't like it.
Yeah, can you install the package right Excel?
And like underscore or
Just right Excel, no underscore. Oh, sorry, X and then L.
oh,
Lowercase.
lowercase.
Wow.
We got there. Cool. Language is strange. Cool. And then we'll go library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With right
Yeah. Right.
Excel.
Perfect.
Okay.
And then I think that one actually is col underscore names with a lowercase n.
Okay.
So similar, but so different.
They seem a bit different. No, it doesn't like it.
Unused argument. Oh.
Oh, we don't.
It uses path instead of file.
Okay.
Oh, we maybe.
All right, that should. If it doesn't work this time, it's something else. Ooh. Yeah. Argument X must be a data frame or a list of data frames. Is that not what that is?
This might be because this is the language like telling it to label the sheets that way.
Okay.
Yeah, benefit calcs is a list, not a data frame.
Yeah, so it's a list of two data frames. Yeah.
Ooh. Hmm.
So with that package with the right, oh, is it supposed to be XLSX or a different one?
Yeah.
Oh, the underscore. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it depends where it's coming from. Is that the command that you used before, or?
I use .xlsx with the right Excel package.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You must be. Can we have a look at the help for that? Oh no, you had column names, didn't you? You said the column names is true.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one is just a single data frame. So is it possible to do multiple data frames to the same Excel file with that package?
Yeah, you should be able to do the multiple sheets from the data frames. It should just need a named list of data frames, which is what you've given it there, right?
Yeah, yes. So yeah, base benefit
What
is
is
because that's a list. It's coming up as a list, not as a data frame, because it's a combined. I don't know, like this full join function is a combined
so,
set of data frames.
right? What does base benefit look like? If you click on, what is the data structure?
So it's all of those variables, the combinations, the calculations that were run.
Thanks for coming in person. Very much better. Thank you. So is that a list of tibbles?
Yeah.
It is.
So can I see the previous output that you got from that? That's
Yeah, so
puzzling.
that would be the base benefit, that one.
So can I see the Excel file that you were getting out of it again? Like what? So
yeah.
everything else was working except for the column names. Is
The
that
column
right?
headings, exactly.
So
Which makes it really hard
like
to. Yeah. So that was
those beneficials,
one.
yeah. Because that. And so that's 2 sheets and then.
Yep. Which was fine. That's exactly what I wanted, except that I have no idea what those numbers refer to.
Are the column headings the same for every time you do this, or is it going to depend on the data set? Like, is column 3 always going to be revised client, et cetera, or?
Yes,
you could just fix it. You could just patch it.
I reckon the issue is that I think both of those functions are happy to handle data frames, but because it's being given a list of lists, that's what's tripping it over. It's like, I don't know what they are. Are we able to convert those, what is it, base benefit and imp benefit? Can we turn those lists into data frames? Would they still
I don't know, can you?
cooperate that way?
How do I do that?
Question.
Oh, is it as, I don't know.
You can R bind or something.
So each of the components is a tibble, and then it's rolled.
So basically, I've created all of these.
You've actually created a
data
list instead of
frames. Yeah, so I created all of these data frames to calculate the intervals between the times, and then I'm just trying to put them all together to aggregate them.
The list is the problem, I think. So we need to combine in a way so that they still look like a data.
Oh, right. So each of those things in the list are all data frames?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it would be like a big.
And they all have the same column names?
No, because they're the components of the data frame. So they have similar kind of information, but it's from different time points. So that one. So like this kind of one, I've just pulled out those columns from the bigger data frame to run. So those 2 time points come from the raw data, and then that's a calculation that's run on the 2 columns, and the record ID is the same across them. But these time points and calculations are all different. And then I'm just trying to put them all together.
So you're pulling out and is it always the 4th column that you're pulling out of each of those things?
No, I'm just combining all 4 columns from each one together.
And they all have the same record ID?
You've got the record ID
is the join.
Column 2, column 3, and then the calculated column, and then you do it again and again.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, and then you're doing a
That's-
full join.
which isn't necessarily the most efficient way to do it either. So I'm happy
Yeah,
to
you might
redo the
get some
code
empty
because
columns.
I don't really need the record ID repeated 12 times.
Yeah. Yeah. So could we just create a big data frame where you have the record ID and then you pull the calculated column? Do you need the other two columns for what you're doing subsequently?
I would like to have it there
Okay,
just
that's
as a
fine.
reference to check their qualification.
Yeah.
So
So you could do like a big C bind based on pulling columns 2, 3, and 4 out of each of those, and then having, well, if you need the record ID, you could put that in on the first one.
yeah, okay.
So that would be, Nick, would that be a C bind? You're effectively building a data frame by tacking on extra columns.
It's probably more of a merge or a join, but I don't know how to do that with multiple data frames all at once.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the only thing I could find on the net was this the reduce function and doing a full join.
Yeah.
Because like merge and aggregate just made a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So so you've done a full join based on that column, the record
I
ID.
go to the loo. I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, that's going to be a big data set. You may, well, I don't know how Excel handles that stuff these days, but it used to have some limits on columns and rows, but you possibly.
It was okay.
many
Like the columns and rows are fine. There's
yeah.
not heaps of them.
Okay.
But I just don't have the column headings,
Yeah, right.
which I've gone through and input them manually because I couldn't spend any more time.
Yeah,
But I just thought it would be handy to know in the future when you do have to pull information from so many different places.
yeah. I mean,
it would be handy to do it quickly.
Can you? Well, you could. So from your list. No, what's that one that you're displaying us there? That's that Tibble 116 by 55. That's just.
Yeah.
Oh no, that is one of them.
That's one of them, yeah. So
That's
there's
for the
two.
list,
So that's the base benefit, and
right.
this one's the imputed benefit.
Right. So just in terms of like, if you had to resort to manually taking the column headings with you,
Yeah.
you could then just create a printout or CSV from that that just had the column headings in it, and then you could literally just copy and paste that into.
That would be handy. How would I do that?
Well, that would be. So what you need. Let me see if I can remember how it is.
So what do we land on?
Well, we're just wondering if it, sort of path of least astonishment would be to just get the column headings for the lists by the fair means or foul, so we could just create a vector effectively of the column headings. Just trying. Is it headings or headers or something? There's a command or function that will give you the names of the column headings.
Oh, col names.
Yeah, column names.
Yeah, right.
I
Then
can
you
try.
Yeah, base benefit. Let's see what.
Can only not work. No, doesn't recognize them.
Oh, yeah, because they're all right. So you might. I mean, you could just loop through the list of individual tibbles and grab their. So it's going to be that pattern, isn't it? So, or you could even. There's numerous ways you could do this. So, what about if you do col names on just one of the first one, Q0 lad _ D _ int. Okay. There you go. So we could assign, so you'll just have to loop through the names or through the list of the names.
Yeah.
And then you could just keep appending that, and that at least would give you a one-liner. If you export it as CSV, then you can just.
Really sure what you.
What was that?
Yes.
You could dump it into, you could export it as a CSV and then just paste that in. You open up a row and then paste it in
Yeah.
the spreadsheet. That would be less error prone. And so yeah, so if you did, so just assign, so in line 300, just say, just dream up a variable name, so tops or something, so TOPS, and then, yep, headings is, and then assign that to that, and then, so that gets you the first one, and then have the next one, and then basically convert it into a loop like we were doing before. Oh no, just it's one headings, and then we're going to keep adding to it. So that's the first one. You want the first one first, so it's got to be underscore int on the end, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so if you do that one first. Yep.
Yeah, so that one's
there
done.
is. Sorry, I was expecting something to happen sort of right where the cursor was. Okay, so then what you want to do is have a loop. You'll have a for loop that loops over the names that are all that you've got in the list. So you know, press enter and then go for Tibble. Well, maybe subset or something. Whatever. No, hang on. We need a word that isn't a reserve word. Just anything, doesn't matter. J.
We're discussing H, yeah.
Well, H in, sorry, H, I get caught out with this stuff. I really should do more R programming and less of the other nonsense that I do. So you want to go, you want a vector of, no, hang on. Yeah, we can do that. We can just do a vector. So it's, is it H in? We just did that before. That's how bad my memory is. Back. Oops. Control flow. Oops. Sorry, I'm just cheating here. Right. So for H in, and then we want to go a vector. So C open bracket, lowercase c open bracket, and then copy and paste everything except the first one. So you've already done the first one. So from the second, take all the commas and all of that, copy, paste that into there, and then we'll have to put quotes around it, unfortunately. So
all of them? Yeah,
unfortunately. So unless there's a smart way to do that with pasting, but it'll work. Or maybe that. Excellent. All right. So then, so for each of those, what we want to do is, so then have after, you want 2 brackets, and then after the second bracket, you want to open a curly bracket. Yep, and then press enter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say headings becomes is assigned. Now what we need to do is we need to bind the value of column names. I'm hoping this is going to work. Col bind. Col bind. Open brackets, and then you are going to put in the col names.
That one?
Yep, and then instead of the actual name, you're going to put in the value, the variable h.
And that's it?
Now, yeah, okay. So let's just, so we want to run that whole block because we want to reset it every time. So let's run it and see if it barks. Oh, I gave it the wrong name. Okay. What is it called?
Is it just cbind?
Oh, cbind. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. That's the one. All right, try it again. Okay, and what does the headings thing look like now? No,
Nothing.
All right, well that's mildly disappointing. You've got the value.
That's all right. I can keep having a play. I have another.
That because
appointment
ideally
I've
what you
got
want
too.
is you don't want to be doing manual stuff when
I know.
headings is important. Otherwise, it'll drive you mad. So. But that would be the approach, would be to build effectively a vector. I mean, you could even combine, maybe it's because, I wonder if you could, I wonder if you were to get the column names, let's just do a little experiment sort of outside of this. I mean, this is sort of the approach you want, but it's how we're combining them. So what you want to do effectively is create a vector which has the column names from each of them sort of combined with the previous, and that should be possible by if we make a vector out of another vector plus some other elements, vector elements, that should work, right? What I'm thinking is, I mean, this thing here. Let's try this. So if I let a vector, so if I let headings, if I assign headings, I'm just checking my idea here. If I make that 1, 2, 3, and then I let headings become a vector, headings 4, 5, 6.
Sorry, I'm just helping people in the room here, but I'm gonna have to run real soon. How's it?
Yeah, me
Are you
too.
making much progress? One thing I thought that you could try and do was potentially, I just had this thought where you could, if you've made that big list of all the data frames and combine them all together, if you use like an unlist function to then put them all into a new data frame, that could potentially work. So like you've got the big list of things, you unlist it, put it into a matrix, then put it inside a data frame. That might work. So to be something like what I put into the chat there. But this may also be something that doesn't work at all. But I thought maybe
That's okay. I can have
Okay,
an experiment with it.
Let me give you what works. So what you could do is just concatenate the heading. So if you can,
again,
that would work. We can. I'll just put that in this chat.
Concatenate.
Where's it gone? Where's that chat? Come back. Oh, there it is. So something as simple as that works. So that gives you the So what you could do is take set the headings to the value of the column names, then set the headings to be the and then loop it, but basically append the heading name. So you'd probably have something like I'll just send that and I'll tell you what I really mean. So because the headings was the first one. And that would be the col names, and then you'd have each loop would be headings would become a vector of the headings that we've got, and the column names.
So essentially make a list out of like so where we've got this column names call ID, I change that for a list with the headings that came up from that.
And I think if you, so what you want to do is just create a lengthening vector of the column names. So I've just pasted a sort of well, you'd have to,
yeah.
I mean, that whether you can run column names on the current value of H, that would be something to try, but just grab that extra, that third line that I put in the chat.
Yeah.
And that'll be
so yeah, I'll keep that in there for a little bit later. But thank you for the time. I do have to run though, so hopefully see you again next month.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
See you, Nick. Konsky.
Sorry, what happened there, David?
I know. Yep, I have to run. So yeah, so we're just going to look at combining making an ever lengthening vector with the column names, and then use that. That's the fallback position. But also, trying to unlist it and get it back as a data frame would also, well, hopefully would work, and that would be the more elegant way to do it.
Cool.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. We went a bit over there, but see you all on the 28th. I'm going to send out an email asking people to put their hands up to do maybe an overview of something, because currently don't have anything planned. I can make something up on the fly and see what happens, but I'd rather get someone else involved. So if you are keen, please do reach out. Thank you for your assistance there, David, and everyone else who helped out this week. I just got a PM from someone asking for a bit more help. If you can reach out to me via, if you have any other further questions and need any more help, reach out to me via training@library.uq.edu.au, as I'm going to have to run now.
Yeah.
So just reach out there, and I will see you all in a month. I might see you before, but if you come to happy hour, I come to happy hour.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everyone.
All right.